I have to give Ann Coulter credit for this. She wrote 2 columns. You know, she writes really good columns. She's a really good writer, really good researcher. And she hasn't been as prominent lately, hasn't been on all the shows lately, but her column is still terrific. And she did a couple of articles on this Ghislaine Maxwell trial and some of the testimony that came out that was reported in exactly two American papers, even though it was in the British papers, okay? Now, remember, prosecutors love to prosecute celebrities. They love it, right? It makes them look great. I mean, they put Martha Stewart in jail for some stupid inside trading thing. And admittedly, it did improve the sheets in the prison. But other than that, putting Martha Stewart in jail was, the streets were so much safer with Martha Stewart off the streets. But they love prosecuting celebrities. But nobody seems to have offered Ghislaine Maxwell a deal to come out and talk about who was screwing Jeff Epstein's little girls. Who was he peddling these girls to? And what did he then have on them? Because he apparently, well, listen to this story from the testimony, right? This is the testimony. It was covered in 2 American papers, and Ann Coulter is spreading it around. Good for her, because the British are talking about it, because obviously Ghislaine Maxwell is one of them. An FBI agent, Special Agent Kelly McGuire, testified in the trial about the search of Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse, right? This was before he was put in prison where he was suicided, right? And we knew that they came up with all this stuff with jewelry and all this, but now in the trial, she testified that they also came up with computer disks. And in these hard drives, right? And in these hard drives, they found them in a safe. And they were asked, Kelly McGuire was asked, how did you get into the safe? And she said, we brought a saw. So they were ready. They came in, they sawed open the safe, they came out with this, and they came out with these hard drives. What was in these? Apparently, there was an enormous collection of photos of naked young women and possibly the men that they were having sex with, the influential men they were having sex with. So Jeffrey Epstein is having these women sleep with influential men, taking movies of it, but he wouldn't be blackmailing them or anything like that. He wouldn't be using this to get power over them or to get money out of them, because nobody knows how Jeffrey Epstein got so rich. Nobody even knows where his money comes from. Nothing in the press, nothing. What happened to these hard drives? Where are they? Well, they'll tell you, the agents left. They abandoned the photos and the CDs with Epstein's employees all over the townhouse. They're wandering all over the townhouse. And Kelly McGuire says that they only had a warrant to search the house, but not to remove evidence. A warrant to remove evidence. And they couldn't spare an FBI agent to stay around and make sure nobody tampered with the evidence. They just left it there. The CDs and the photographs disappeared, and by the time, this is reading Ann's column, by the time the FBI returned with a new warrant 4 days later to remove the CDs and photos, they were gone. Who would do that? Who would do such a thing? Later, after a few phone calls, Epstein's lawyer, Richard Kahn, returned the material in 2 suitcases, but we don't know whether the videos were tampered with. We don't know whether they were gone. We don't know if all the photos were there. We do not know. And at the same time as this is going on, by the way, prosecutors quietly revealed that weeks earlier, they had dismissed all the charges against the prison guards who failed to check on Epstein for more than 8 hours the night he allegedly committed suicide. And here's Ann Coulter again pointing out that the feds not only did not move Epstein to a super maximum security prison, as some observers recommended, but they also, the day before Epstein died, he was taken off suicide watch. Against orders, his cellmate was transferred elsewhere, leaving Epstein completely alone in his cell. All the cameras on Epstein's floor were mysteriously broken. Even the footage of his earlier suicide attempt had been mistakenly erased and the backup footage destroyed as a result of technical errors, quote, unquote. But if you have a conspiracy theory about this, you're a nutty right-winger, okay? Virginia Jeffrey, who was one of the women who was abused, and there's that picture of her with Prince Andrew, she has named some of these people. She has said that some of the people who were there, Prince Andrew, former Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz, who has been on the show, former New Mexico governor and presidential candidate Bill Richardson, former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, French model scout Jean-Luc Brunel, and hedge fund billionaire Glenn Dubin. Dershowitz, by the way, strenuously denies these charges, we should say, but The suit that Virginia has filed against Prince Andrew has just been declared that the judge has just declared that will go on. So maybe we'll hear some more about these people. Meanwhile, I've brought this story up once before. 0 other people are covering this story, and I have to bring it up just to remind you about it. I don't have anything on this. I don't have any special knowledge about it, but I just have to bring it up because I just want to put a marker down on this story. There is a woman, a 39-year-old woman named Heidi Planck, attractive blonde lady, who vanished in highly suspicious circumstances after attending her 11-year-old son's flag football game in Los Angeles on October 17th. The LAPD has said in a statement that it appears that she died at the apartment building where she was last seen, and they have been searching the Chiquita Canyon landfill, which is connected to that building, looking obviously for her body. Heidi Planck worked for a guy named Jason Sugarman, who we can see in this picture that was exclusively gotten by The Sun off a blog site. We can see him partying at an Oscar party in Hollywood with Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, this is Jason Sugarman partying with Ghislaine Maxwell. Here's the photo. Heidi's ex-husband, Jim Wayne, who was the first to report her missing, has previously claimed that the cops are looking into her job as an accountant for Camden Capital, where Jason Sugarman is the boss, all right? Sugarman is currently facing a civil case. I know these things get very complicated, but at least keep this in mind. A woman has disappeared. She worked for a guy named Jason Sugarman, who partied with Ghislaine Maxwell. And Sugarman is currently facing a civil case brought by the Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC has charged him with a scam against Native Americans, where he stole $43 million against a Native American tribe. Okay, woman disappears. Her boss is Sugarman. Sugarman's former business partner is Jason Galanis, who is in prison because he was convicted of this conspiracy against the Indian tribe. Galanis is a career criminal who was once dubbed porn's new king. He hangs out with people from the Gambino crime family, and he used Hunter Biden's name to draw people into this scheme, right? Hunter Biden was described in a promotional research as vice chairman for Burnham Financial Group. 2 of the convicted co-conspirators in Indian bonds fraud are Devin Archer and Bevan Cooney. And here's Archer pictured with Hunter Biden and the big guy, Joe Biden. Okay, here's a picture of these guys. This is not tenuous connections. These are all people who work together, all people who were charged in a scam. And now a woman has vanished and is presumed dead by the LAPD, who's connected to these people. And her ex-husband says they're researching these people. I'm not stretching out a conspiracy theory. All I'm saying is in a world where we know that corrupt people are not only routinely screwing underage children, possibly being blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein, possibly arranging for Jeffrey Epstein to suicide him to be suicided in prison. I want to know why, if this were Donald Trump, I mean, I hate to use it, it's cliche, but if this were Donald Trump and I could draw those connections, would every paper in the country not be covering this as a headline? What the hell happened to Heidi Planck and why? Where is she? And what is the connection of all these people and how connected are they to Hunter Biden? Here's another conspiracy theory that you got kicked off Twitter for using. You know, when you have this kind of corruption and abuse at the highest levels, and you have the information systems that are built to expose this abuse at the highest levels, and when those informations do in fact try to expose that abuse when a Republican is in power, especially a Republican who's as much of a loose cannon as Donald Trump, and then they go absolutely silent when it's a Democrat, and a Democrat who we know is a lying, mean-spirited little man, we know from his history, and yet the press goes absolutely quiet. We're left on our own. We are left on our own. And some of our conspiracy theories are going to be nutty, like QAnon, and some of them are going to be like Klavan, which is just the facts right in front of you, that young women are routinely, and young boys, if you include Hollywood, are routinely being abused. This is routinely being covered up. We do not know of the blackmail systems that were in place to cover it and to keep people under control. The first time they tried to charge Jeffrey Epstein, remember this? One of the guys in the Trump administration had to quit. He said, well, I was told he was with intelligence and I should leave him alone. We just don't know. We just don't know where this leads. And we We have a right to demand that people go after this. This is the stuff that people should be going after. If you want more Klavan-y goodness, like and subscribe. And if you want even more Klavan-y goodness, like and subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.